Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Note Trees. I'm your host, Greg, and we are continuing on. Continuing on is weird because this is a brand new tool. This is my Saturation Separator. I finally cleaned it up and got it to be a working version that I am going to offer out to you, I think, for free. I'm in a jolly good spirit. So this will be one of the few free tools at December 18 Studios. There's a link in the description. There is also a membership program that gets you more tools that are behind the paywall. It's very low price per year. You get all the updates and everything like that. If you have a chance, check it out. There are a lot of really cool tools that I built. I built a lot of my tools I built primarily for look dev. I find that there's a lot of tools for shot balancing and things like that, and like Mononodes has some really good utilities, and the Color Shaper and Color Shift, those are really great tools. But for look dev, there's sometimes things that I want the image to do that I can't do. So we're gonna look at this one. I had a version of this for a while, and what it's doing, you read through here, it's just repeating itself over and over. It's 6 vectors. Red saturation, red midtone, range, and center. So what it's saying is, this is this. If you were to say on the vector scope where the center of the image is, that is where the red line is going up here, that is the red center. Always 0, but you can shift that around and go up and down, left, right, and change that. You can also make how big it is. So you think cone-ish shape. It's working in a spherical model, so think a cone going into a cylinder and all that weird stuff that's going on. And so you can kind of dial up. And what it's saying is that as I boost red saturation, so we're looking at her shirt here, it's going to naturally, from the opposite end of this cone, suck in colors from the other side of the image. So you can see just by pushing up my red saturation, if you're looking on the scopes over there, we'll just bring up scopes right here. So you see, make them big. I'll switch this over. You see, as I dial up red saturation, I'm losing green and blue and cyan. And that's partly because my red center isn't centered. So we can recenter that. And now my greens are back. But the big effect is it's pulling everything from this cone. So if this is the cone pulling in, it's pulling in the same size cone over on this side and saying desaturate that as you saturate this. And that works for any color. Midtone works a little bit differently. It keeps your highlights and everything the same and really just pushes out the midtone. So it kind of just, if you're looking at the cube, what it's doing is it's fat, making it fat. Let's put it that way. So it's pulling in, let's line that up better for you. So as you expand the midtone, it's pushing the midtone out, but it's pinching at the top and bottom back to where, so it's not affecting your high and your lows as much. So you're just pushing out, but it is still working in that opponent model where it's now pulling in the midtones of the other side of that image. So you can then come back with your cyan saturation and you can be like, no, I need to save some of that. We pulled too much cyan. You can come back and save it. You can bring it back. You can boost out the midtones. And they're going to fight against each other, but you're going to see that it's not really affecting the reds when you do it because you already pushed them up so much. So it's kind of this opponent model where they work in concert together. And now as you go, and you can dial in how much you're pretty much telling it how much am I fighting against that pull of desaturation that's going on the red side, that's pulling my cyans and my blues in on the image. So that as I switch to blues, which are down here, I might reorder these a little bit. So as I push out my blues, it's fighting against that red, and it's not, the red's fighting against it, so it's creating the strength battle as you shape the image. And you can be like, oh, all right, that's crazy talk. Why are you doing such things? But it's something that I thought about as I was working on it. It was like, as I was boosting green saturation one time, I was like, man, that'd be cool if it sucked and made things a little bit different. And you can see you have a lot to fine tune and control and shape how your saturation is responding, and you can make this be very nice. And since we're feeding it into OpenDRT, it's still, even though it looks vibrant, it looks very well juicy. It is still OpenDRT does such a nice job with these high saturated colors it still makes them feel natural-ish, even though it is highly saturated. The other thing is we can change how strong that fight is at a global scale. And you can see by just shifting it around, we end up back more. As you push up the opponent's strength, they're strong. And as you push it back, they're weaker. It doesn't pull in as hard. And you're getting even more saturation. Energy conservation relates more to that mid-tone control in terms of kind of on a global scale of kind of just reining the entire thing in and saying, hey, you went way too far with this. Let's pull back a little and just dial it in. You're still getting a lot of that saturation. You're still getting a lot of that color variation in your CIE plot as things get blown up. And this then works really well with underneath it. So if I'm doing look dev, you can see, we'll just reverse this and push this back. You can see normally, like, I would work this node right here, which is my contrast control for this is one of my contrast controls that I have. It's available as well, but we can really shape what's going on in a very macro quick way. But it also has this tool where we can shape and pull things in line, push these out and preserve this color and kind of change how this looks. Pinch these so you can see, if you're looking on the scopes in the vector scope, as I push green or pull green, I'm pulling greens towards each other, so I'm getting more pure green, and I can just pull in the saturation a little bit, but I'm getting it more pulled, all the greens that are in the image going straight to their pole versus being separated. And so if you do this first, what happens is that when it gets into that next node where we just did all that separating, we're not really spreading the colors out in the CIE plot. We're actually getting a little bit more condensation going on because we've limited how much information we've passed to it. Let's see, we just kind of preserve, kind of boost that out a little bit right there. Maybe tweak that. And so, yeah. Do you want to put more yellows in the greens? Can you actually push the greens if you want to push them more towards that bluish cyan hue? Is what happens when you push. If you push both yellows, you get more cyan, a more cyany green going into it. But now, this was what we had originally with OpenDRT, and this is what we've added in to it. Yeah, her face is a little baked, and we're going to make some tweaks to that, but we're kind of all over the place with just saying that these tools are really powerful for shaping the contrast and the separation and saturation of your colors. Really powerful to quickly make very strong changes. And I probably just tone this back and probably, yeah, there we go. That's where I'd probably move that to. It's not as baked looking. And then that kind of just becomes your look dev session right there. You can just update this and kind of see. Don't work on this image, but that's mostly partly because this image is so weird. I don't know. These are really shot differently. But you can see here, she has this nice suntanny look to her. Probably want to change that a little bit if we were being really specific. But a lot of that is just adding in color saturation, and I might be just in here. We push those red midtones out, so bring that in a little in this look dev session. Kind of get that a little bit more in range. We're just pushing more for example purposes than anything, and this will be getting it more into a happy place instead of just pushing it up into the walls of our image. There we go, and you can see what the difference is with what the saturation separator is doing. But it's working in this opponent style model where everything is fighting against each other, so that as you push one place, it's going to pull from another. As you push from one, it pulls to the other. So anyways, that is just my saturation separator as a look dev tool. It's going to be up on the website. Enjoy. Links in the description. Things like that.